Thank you to Delta Force for sponsoring today's video. Delta Force Mobile just came out a couple of days ago for both iOS and Android devices, and you can now play this game anywhere around the world. It is insanely good. Like, seriously, the best mobile first-person shooter to come out in a very long time. Everything from the graphics to the gameplay mechanics to the overall chaoticness of the game itself is just amazing. It feels like a full-on PC game for your phone, and it's just really one of the only mobile games out there that I can actually play for hours at a time. Now, considering the fact that this game is so popular, so many new people are playing this game, there's a lot of people out there that don't really have much experience with mobile first-person shooters. When they go into the in-game settings, they are completely lost because there is a lot of settings and customizability in Delta Force Mobile. What I wanted to do in today's video is talk about all of my best recommendations and tips and tricks for the best settings to get the best possible gameplay and performance, and simply put, have the best settings to win in Delta Force Mobile. We're going to be talking about things like your overall basic settings, your sensitivity, your HUD customization, and even settings that you can turn on and off to reduce lag in game. And yeah, I hope this video does help you guys. If it does, please take a second and leave a like and subscribe. And before we actually jump into it, very important, I want everybody listening to this. If there is something that you disagree with as you're watching this video, don't just say, I disagree, and then leave the video. Go down below in the comments and actually explain why you would do something different. That way, everybody watching this video doesn't just have my suggestions, they have the suggestions from tens of thousands of other Delta Force players, and this video's comment section can literally be the ultimate settings guide for anybody all across the world. It would be awesome. Let's make the comment section awesome, and yeah, let's get things started here. We're gonna go over to our basic settings here, and the very controversial thing to start is aim assist. You can turn it on or off. Now, the only reason I would recommend turning aim assist off is if you're a very advanced player. You really don't want your phone to do anything for you, and you would turn this off if you have aim assist already off for other mobile first-person shooters. For like 95% of other people, I would actually recommend turning it on because it helps your aim be more accurate. And if we're talking about the best settings to win, you want to be more accurate so you can win more matches. Why not have aim assist on? It's there, it's available for you, it's not going away. You can turn it on if you want to. Next thing, we have the scope magnification adapts automatically. This basically changes how your scope magnifies depending on your FOV. I don't like that. I want my scopes to be consistent, so I would recommend having that turned off. Next up, the firing mode. Make sure to have quick ADS and fire for both operations and warfare to disable all. The only reason you would have that on enable all is if you're a player that's only going to use 2 fingers. If you play mobile games with just your thumbs and that's it, you don't want to try to use 3 or 4 fingers, then you would want to enable it. Or at least go into your custom settings and enable it for certain weapons, like maybe the shotgun, the sniper rifle, maybe an SMG and an LMG, but potentially not the rifle, just because with a rifle, you might have close range encounters that you don't want to always scope in when you're firing your weapon, right? Now, what I would recommend doing is for the heavy weapon quick ADS and fire, I would actually turn that on for anybody. And that's because very rarely are you gonna be using an LMG at close range. Like, if you are, you're not really using it the right way. I guess you can, and in that case, you probably would wanna turn it off. But like, vast majority of the people are gonna be using it a little bit further back. They're going to be spraying and praying, shooting lots of bullets at people a little bit further away than, you know, with an SMG or a rifle. And because of that, you can have it turned on because you're probably going to be scoping in when you're using your LMG like 99% of the time, right? The shotgun firing mode. I would personally put press to fire. I would not do release to fire because for whatever reason, for me personally, I cannot line up my shots with shotguns. Whenever I do release to fire with any other game, I just completely fail, and it's literally like my worst weapon out of any category of weapons in mobile games. So I would do press to fire that way, or a little bit more accurate. You can tweak around with these 2 things. You might want to have it on release to fire for both of them, depending on how you actually work with the game. But regardless, we're going to go over to our perspective now. And this is interesting. This might depend on how you like to play your games. If you're not really used to mobile games, you don't like a tiny screen, it's really hard to see enemies from very far away, you might want to kick down your FOV very, very low to like 70. That way, you see less of the scenery around you, and enemies that are further away appear closer. They're not, but they look like they're closer, and it's a little bit easier to see people that are further away. But If you want to look like you are running like crazy at 10,000 miles an hour and you want to see everything around you, you kick up your FOV to like 100 and it looks insane. I would probably kick it somewhere around in the middle, like 90. That just works for me. That's the default FOV. For your basic combat, your ADS mode, I would personally do hold. I wouldn't do press. That just adds another button on your screen that you need to press and it makes it a little bit more complicated. Sprint interrupts ADS. This is actually very important to turn on. The reason you want to do this is because if you are aiming down sight and somebody sneaks up behind you, you need to immediately be able to sprint. You do not want to press another button and then be able to sprint, because the time it takes for you to press another button to stop aiming and then start sprinting, the person's already killed you. You want to have the fastest possible reaction time. That's why you would want to have sprint interrupts healing turned on, as well as reload interrupt by firing is fire interrupt. And that's because whenever somebody ambushes you, it doesn't matter. You don't want to be sitting there reloading your gun and then wait until it finishes reloading to be able to shoot the person. You want to immediately be able to react. Same thing with healing. It's more important to kill the person than try to continue healing, because it doesn't really matter how much you heal. If the person's shooting at you, they're gonna kill you, all right? So next up, auto hold breath when aiming down sight with sniper rifle. I would personally put that as on, because that's another button you don't have to worry about pressing. If you put that off, then that's another button you have to press to try to hold your breath, and it just makes things a little bit more complicated. Again, you don't want to make things complicated when you're playing this game. And then finally, for the throw and place in the combat section, I just have it at default. I don't know. It works for me. Maybe some people like to have quick throw if they want to have a very, very fast reaction time. But the only reason you would put quick throw for any of this is if you really understand how all of these gadgets work. You understand like the arc of the grenade, and you don't have to sit there and try to aim it, you know? You just have to immediately fire it and then it goes. But probably for the vast majority of people, I would put it at default because it just works better for me, and it probably works better for you. Next up, in the control section here, the lean peak, you want to have that on because you always want to be able to lean when you are playing a game like this. If the option is there, even if you don't use it like 90% of the time, have it, because sometimes it will be worth it. And then the lean peak mode, you want to have it at hold. And the reason is because you don't want to have to press the lean button twice to be able to go back to regular aiming. You just want to be able to hold it, and then the second you let go, you stop leaning. It just makes it a little bit easier. For the lean peak auto aim down sights, you're going to have that at on, because if you are leaning, you're going to be aiming your gun. There's no reason why you would be leaning around the corner if you're not aiming your weapon, right? It just doesn't make sense. Do it as on. It's a little bit easier. And then finally, for the ADS lean peak, as it says here, when enabled, the game automatically assesses the terrain and decides whether to perform a lean peak while aiming down sights. This I would probably turn off, and that's just because I don't really like when the phone does it for me, because sometimes I don't want to lean, and then the game might just automatically do it for me, and then I die. If you're somebody that doesn't really understand how leaning works in the game, you're very, very uncomfortable with it, you might want to turn it on to get used to it. And as you start playing the game more and more and you understand how the game does it, then you can turn it off and then you can do it manually. So that's how you can do that. For the gyroscope, this is the one setting that I am not going to sit here and try to tell you how to do. I do not use gyroscope. I personally don't like gyroscope. And if you're sitting there and you've never really tried gyroscope before, don't try to start doing it, because I don't like it. You basically have to use your phone to like move around and aim, and I just don't like that. I want to hold my phone stationary and then be able to just use my fingers to like aim around on the screen. It makes sense to me. I've done this for like over 10 years when playing mobile games. I don't like gyroscope, so I just have it at always off. It just makes a lot more sense. I do have to mention, though, that there are some people out there that do prefer to do when aiming down sight. What that basically means is you add a little extra amount of precision when you're aiming down sight only. You're not going to use gyroscope to like move all over the place. You're purely using it only when you are scoped in, and you want to have a little bit more precision when you're, you know, going full auto with a rifle or an SMG or something like that. So that's something you might want to test out. I personally don't use it, but some people like it, and I think it's worth talking about. Next up, though, we got to talk about the camera turning, and this is something that I actually prefer to turn off, but for some people out there, specifically two-finger players, they might want to turn a lot of these things on. What this basically does is it allows you to do multiple button presses with one single button press. So like, if you find yourself crouching and shooting a lot at the same time, what you can do is you can turn on the crouch turning, and when you're crouching, you slide to the left or to the right, and then you immediately aim or start shooting or something like that. Like, it's interesting and it's a little bit confusing. I understand that. That's why I've not really tried it out myself. I like to play with 4 fingers. That's why I can press every button on my screen. I never have any issues, but try a few of them out, see which ones work for you, and comment down below which ones work the best for you if you are specifically a 2-finger player. For the basic controls, running interrupts crouch and prone. I would personally have that as on because yes, again, if you are crouching or proning and somebody sneaks up behind you, you want to immediately be able to start running away from them. You don't want to have to sit there and then stand up, start walking, and then running. Silent mode for operations, I would personally put it at wheel, and that's basically, as it says here, you move silently and slowly by gently pushing the left joystick. It just works. It makes sense. If you use your joystick and you push very far forward, you're going to start running. If you barely push forward, then you're going to be in silent mode, and that's just one less button that you have to worry about pressing. And kind of in line with that, the tactical sprint activation for warfare, you want to have activate with stick because, again, if you do button trigger, then it's just going to be another button that you need to press to be able to do tactical sprint. Why do you want to have another button that you need to press? You have to sit there and try to find it on your screen. Just do it with the joystick. It's easier to do it that way. Dive in warfare needs to be on. You want to be able to dive even if you don't really use it very often. That means if you're running, you can press the prone button, you can dive, and then you can avoid shots easier. Auto parachute, I would actually have that off, and the only reason is because sometimes I don't want to parachute, you know? Sometimes I might want to jump off a small cliff, take a little bit of damage, but that way I can survive if somebody's shooting me. Other times, if it's going to automatically take out the parachute, then I'm kind of a sitting duck. Or a flying duck, I guess you could kind of say. So just probably have that turned off. Quick weapon switch, I would have that as on. What it basically does is you can press that button to switch your weapon and then hold it to the holster, and it just makes sense. Sensitivity transition mode, as it says here, instant is ADS sensitivity takes effect instantly after pressing the ADS button. You don't want to sit there and have it gradually change your sensitivity. That just doesn't make sense to me, right? You want to have it instantaneously. If you're just running around the map, then you want to have your sensitivity at one setting, and then the second you press aim down sight, you want it to be completely different. You don't want to have it gradually change between the sensitivity settings. That's just weird. That just doesn't make sense to me, right? Airborne mantle behavior. As it says here with auto, you will automatically mantle over nearby obstacles. Again, that's one less button that you have to worry about pressing. If you can mantle over something, it's going to automatically do it for you. It makes it easier. And then finally, separate jump button mode. I would have that as close. I don't honestly know what this means, but I've had it as that. I've had no issues with jumping or mantling or any of that type of stuff, so it works for me. You should probably just keep it at that. Now, when it comes to your controls, this is where things are going to be very different for certain people. If you like to play with 4 fingers, something like this is going to be very, very good for your HUD customization. What you basically want to have your controls do is make it very easy to press everything on your screen for each finger that you are going to be touching on the screen, if that makes sense. Basically, if you can see what I'm doing right here, I can very easily press all of my buttons on my screen without having to move my fingers very hard. And that's very important. You just want to have everything come natural. You barely have to move your finger at all. You can just do things and it works. And I don't know. This is going to be very different for a lot of people. And I understand if you're going to have a completely different HUD layouts, but it works for me. I like it. And if you want to copy this for 4 fingers, I would definitely recommend something like this. If you would like to do a 2-finger layout, for instance, if I go over here to operations, you don't really have to change too much from what the default settings are. In all honesty, it works really well like this. What I would do again is just try to make sure all of your buttons are very easy to press. You don't have to move your thumbs super far across the screen. Like you want to make your tactical gear button, your gadget button, everything very close by, you know, so you don't have to move your thumb too much. I would put your reload button a little bit further over here by that gadget button. That just works for me. And then your slide button, or your crouch button, I should say, your prone button, your jump button should be somewhere around right there, right? This is your firing button, and then that way you're kind of easily able to press like the vast majority of things on your screen. That just works for me personally. You could do save like that, and if you're doing the 2-finger layout, that is when you would do enable all. For instance, right? You would want to enable everything, so it just makes it a little bit easier. That way, if you go over to your controls right here, to my operations control, you press this firing button right here, you're going to automatically aim down sight. Makes it a little bit easier, right? But you might not want to do that for certain ones, potentially your SMG or your AR. Those are the only ones I might potentially have that just turned off by default. I understand everybody is going to have a different phone layout. Some people are going to be playing on tablets. And because of that, you probably don't want to do a direct copy and paste of the layout that I have. But you can do something similar. Hold your phone in your hands, and if it's natural and comfortable to you in that way, then that would work best for you. Try to do similar to what I have, but really kind of play around with your HUD customization until it's the most comfortable for you. Now, when it comes to your sensitivity, this is where I would turn it at accelerated. Accelerated works well for me. That's what I have used ever since I first started playing Delta Force. I have never seen a reason to do fixed. I actually like to keep it at 50, and a lot of the default settings here, to be completely honest with you, with the vast majority of this type of stuff. But what I would do, I would potentially lower some of the higher scopes, right? So for instance, your 12 times scope, maybe kick some of these down a little bit and kind of gradually have the numbers go up just a little bit with each scope, right? You know, 72 for that one. For instance, this one right here could be like 78, 77, you know, maybe like 85, 84, something like that. And then pretty much from that point on, you can have everything at about 100, like that, right? So just kind of have it gradually go down depending on how high your scope is. And that just works. Again, with the firing sensitivity, it's kind of the same thing. You might just want to kick these down a little bit, maybe a little bit less than with the other ones. And yeah, it's again going to be another thing that's really going to be entirely dependent on how you play some of your other games. You really need to play around with this because it's going to be different depending on the size of your device. This is what I would do with my Red Magic 10 gaming phone. But if you have a smaller phone or a bigger phone or a tablet, you're going to have different sensitivities, okay? Gyroscope, I have no idea. Again, this is another thing. I'm not even going to try to explain this because I don't use gyroscope. Now, when it comes to your gameplay, honestly, when it comes to operations, I would turn all of these things on. What it does is it basically just automatically puts some of your most important loot into the safe box first. That way you don't potentially forget and then you lose out on something very important and valuable if you die. Close the backpack and pick up tabs when being attacked. Again, you want to have that on because you want to have the fastest possible reaction time. You don't want to be sitting there in the backpack when somebody's shooting you and then you just die before you can even close out of your backpack, right? You can play around with, you know, the value threshold for items put in the safe box. I haven't really played too much operations, so I don't really know what the right value would be. The medicine, also, I would just have smart recommendation. It usually recommends the right thing, but if you get very, very skilled with operations, then you might want to start to turn off some of these things, right? But for the vast majority of people that are watching a video like this, they're not going to be that experienced with a game like this, so they probably should start off with like the recommendations to get more comfortable with the game, right? This is kind of just entirely based off of whatever you prefer. It doesn't really impact your gameplay. It's just, you know, your own personal preferences. When it comes to warfare, the rotating perspective on the minimap, I would personally have that on. Makes sense. You're looking at your minimap. If you're looking a certain direction, the person is going to be in front of you, not behind you. It's going to be confusing if you have that turned off. All of these other things, I would just have these as default settings. They work well for me. When it comes to the communication, again, doesn't really matter. It's entirely up to you. If you kind of get annoyed by people putting certain things in the chat, then you might want to turn things off, but I don't know. It doesn't really matter to me. I always keep these at default regardless what game I play. Sometimes I just completely turn them off, but this is the interesting thing, the graphics and the sound. Now, I have a very powerful gaming phone, so I can turn on ultimate quality. I could probably even turn it higher, and then even a higher FPS if I wanted to, right? I could probably have 120 FPS, no issue whatsoever. But if you are watching this video and you have a budget device or it lags when you are playing Delta Force, what is more important is your FPS, not your graphics. So in that case, I would kick it down to standard or maybe even smooth, but keep your FPS high. You don't want to have low frames and nice graphics. You want to have high frames and low graphics because that is much more important. For your graphic style, you can have it at realistic if you want it to look the best. But again, if you do not have a powerful device and you have some lag issues, you might want to put it at soft. It just slightly makes the game perform a little bit better. And then a lot of these things, depending on how well your device performs, you might want to turn these to no. Like depth of field, I would put that at no. Anti-aliasing, I'd probably keep that at yes. That seems to work a little bit better for me. Volumetric lighting, the water reflection, turn those to no if you have lag in game. But if you don't have lag issues in the game, you might as well turn those things on because it's going to make the game look a whole heck of a lot better and a lot more like a PC game on your phone. Finally, the hit effects, entirely up to you. I like red because red is blood. That makes sense. But, you know, if you don't like red, you could change it to another color. It doesn't really impact anything at all. For the sounds, this is where it could potentially be beneficial to adjust certain things. Like maybe you want to turn down the music or the voice volume. That way you can hear sound effects a little bit better. Maybe you can hear footprints a little bit better over the music. For your vehicle settings, in all honesty, I keep it to the default. It works well for me. What I could maybe suggest doing is potentially moving just a little bit of these buttons to make it a little bit more comfortable for you, especially if you are playing with like 4 fingers. It might just be better to move it a little bit more to the left. But in general, I like this type of vehicle button layout. It works a lot better than like the wheel, for instance, the joystick or the sliders. Those always are just very weird for me in games. I would probably do something like this if you're going to be playing with 4 fingers. That seems like that would work well for me. That way you can press all of your buttons very easy on your screen. But, you know, can I do this without completely messing everything up? Oh, there you go. There's my share code. I didn't realize you could do that. So if I reset it here, if you're playing with just 2 fingers, I would probably do something like this. You know, make your gadgets very easy to press with your thumb. Don't make things too complicated for you. Make your exit button probably somewhere down there. Maybe the only other thing that you might want to change is like where your position is on the aircraft. I would put it somewhere where it's a little bit easier to press, maybe somewhere down here, right? So you can easily press it with your left thumb button. So we're not going to go save that because I like to have my other layout personally. And would you look at that? That is basically all of these settings here. What I do want to do is just take a second here. I'm going to jump into, I don't want to go into battle practice. I want to actually go into attack and defend here. I'm going to just go see what my HUD layout is like. Let's go confirm. Alrighty, everybody. So we just joined into a match here. Looks like there's only a couple of minutes left before it finishes. So yeah, we don't really have a lot of time here, but I did want to talk about a couple of other things before we finish off the match. There's a person over here. Hello. Hey, where'd you go? Oh, he's running. He's not prepared for me. He's so not prepared. Maybe his friend is, but not him. Oh my god, they're not prepared for me. They're oblivious. They're all oblivious. Oh my god, there's another one over here. Hold on. See, this is when leaning comes in handy. You make yourself a little bit of a harder target for people. Little bit of a harder target. Another guy all the way over here. Oh, god dang it, man. As I was trying to say before things got very chaotic, I would recommend turning certain things like your graphics way down if you have lag issues. I would turn up your FPS. That's, you know, the most important thing because frames are the most important thing when you're playing a video game, more so than graphics. It's nice to have great graphics. It's never fun to play a game with bad graphics, but... Oh, where is he? Where did he go? He's in the freaking smoke. He's in the smoke. Oh my god, I'm out of ammo. This is not good. This is really bad. This is actually, I'm dead. Every single time I switch to my pistol, I'm so dead. I'm so dead. Can I get this guy super long range with my pistol? Maybe not. I don't think so. I can get his friend though. Come on. Go, go, go. Suicide mission. Get the ammo and run. No, god dang it, man. Thank you, teammate. I appreciate it. Toxication. The toxication has rescued me, so everything is all good. Another thing that I would recommend people to do is make sure your phone does not overheat. If your phone overheats, you are completely screwed. It's going to throttle and it's not going to have good frames at all. So make sure your phone is not overheating. Oh my god, there's too many of them. There's too many of them. There's way too many of them. I'm dead. I'm so dead. I'm so dead. I'm so dead. Come on. Let's go. Almost out of ammo. Kind of. Not really. Another person? Anybody else in there? Are we good? Let's go, dude. Toxication. Thank you. I appreciate it. This guy saved me. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. But yes, So things that I can recommend doing is do not play while your phone is charging. If you are on low battery, just take a break, let your phone charge up, and then you can continue playing because it's going to overheat if you're playing while you're charging. I did not realize that was an enemy. Oh my god, I'm such a noob. Second thing is, you know, just don't play for too long because your phone inevitably will start to overheat. So just try to not play for too long. Don't have your phone maxed out on storage because that also will impact how things work. Don't have too many apps running in the background. Oh, God. All right. Can't go that far. And, you know, kind of stuff like that. But other thing I would recommend is everybody to go down below in the comment section and give all of their best tips and tricks to other people, because there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to be watching this video and they're going to have different devices from what I have, okay? So what I would really appreciate people to do is say, hey, you know, I have an iPad. This is why this setting should be different from what ExxotikGaming said. Because an iPad player is going to have very, very different settings from, you know, what I have, because I'm playing on a phone, right? You know, I know the vast majority of people are going to be playing on a phone, but it's going to be different. If you're playing on an iPad, it's going to be different. Oh my god. 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 It's a little bit too chaotic and my hand's getting sweaty while I'm trying to make this commentary. But yes, with 50 seconds remaining, I don't remember exactly what I was saying, but you guys get the idea. I just would appreciate it if everybody would go down below in the comment section and be very supportive, give lots of good tips and tricks to everybody else. You know, that way, anybody that's watching on any type of device can get good specific recommendations for their device. There might be like certain special gaming settings that you can turn on for a Samsung, for instance, or other types of devices that are going to help Delta Force perform way, way better. And people need to know that. I don't know that. I don't have every phone. So, you know, it would be great if everybody knew that, you know, based off of the comment section of this video. That's it. I really hope you all did enjoy this video, though. If you did, please take a second and leave a like and subscribe for some more mobile gaming content just like this. I'm going to be making a lot more Delta Force videos because I love this game. It is so much fun. And let me know what you would like to see. You know, is there any other tips and tricks video you'd like to see? Is there anything else, any type of specific gameplay? Just let me know. I can do a whole heck of a lot of different content on this game. So thank you all so much for watching, guys. There are 4 seconds remaining. I think we won, right? I mean, I joined this match very late, so I definitely didn't get... Oh, wait a minute. The match is not finished yet. I'm going to just end it here. So, yes, thank you all so much for watching, guys, and I will see you all in the next episode.